مزيدا والصلاة والسلام على خير الأنام وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Praise its worthy, the beneficent, bestower of bounties and favours. And we ask our Lord Most High to send copious and eternal limited blessings and salutations upon our beloved Prophet Sayyidina Muhammadin sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. أما بعد قال المؤلف رحمه الله رضي الله عنه وعنكم نفعنا به وبكم وعليك بجبر قلوب المنكسرين. So this is on page 91. Comfort the broken-hearted. The Jabr al-Khatir is Jabr in the Arabic language is to fix that which is broken, to mend, if you like. So Jabr al-Khawatir and Jabr al-Qulub. Al-Khatir is one's own, maybe you could say self-confidence, but it's not really quite the word. So if someone's feeling down, someone's upset, someone's been hurt, if someone they're anxious or depressed or whatever the case might be, then it's the responsibility of the believer to mend that person's state, really. So it says, even when we look at the Arabic, it says Jabr Qulub. So to mend their hearts. How does one mend another person's heart? It depends on the circumstance. Sometimes it's empathizing, sometimes it's sympathizing, sometimes it's a good word, sometimes it's a, if the person's mahram or they're the same gender, a touch or a hug or buying a coffee or whatever the case might be. But the point being is that, and the Imam's talking to us now about how we should overcome our own egos and overcome the desire to fulfill our own needs only. And how we can be selfless, which means going against our nafs. And then when we go against our nafs, inshallah azza wa jal, and we're selfless for the sake of Allah azza wa jal, in accordance with the prophetic tradition, then the corollary is that we'll reach Allah azza wa jal. That's it. And our spirits will become enlightened and illuminated, inshallah azza wa jal, by following this path set down by the Prophet of Allah alayhi salatu. So to make people feel good, and the Prophet of Allah alayhi salatu, he wouldn't break people's hearts. And there's another hadith that's basically to break a Muslim's heart is more a'zam ala Allah. It's more significant to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than to break the Kaaba. That's a very, very relevant hadith, particularly in our times. Particularly in the times in which we live in for the Muslims, that a Muslim is accusing another Muslim of being a non-believer, or not following the right Islam, or taking their property, or their arad whatever the case might be, their honor. So to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the honor of a believer is more valuable than the Kaaba, and we pray every day towards the Kaaba. People pay thousands and thousands of dollars, save up their whole life in some countries to go and see the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to visit the Haram al-Makki wal-Madani. Yet, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, kasr khatir, to break another believer's heart. And so as Aussies, we have a big problem with that. Because especially the guys, we G each other, we call it a G-up. We just talk bad about someone in front of them, in front of their friends, and we put them to put down. And we think it's all right. All right, look, man, Aussies are down to earth. Great, alhamdulillah, it's a great quality. But at the same time, we don't want to bring everyone down to the earth. Yeah, we're down to earth, good. We don't, we're humble in that respect. But it doesn't mean we're bad at it. The guys, when you get together in a group, they just start talking about each other's bodily features and their looks and their professions. And there's no huramat. There's no taboos. There's nothing that's off limits. The Americans are the same, but the old joke, especially with the African Americans, your mama this, someone's talking about their arab, your mama. Right? So those things are haram in the first instance. And so to put down, we're really bad at it. It's hard to stop. It's a difficult thing to stop. And you've got to find a way if you want to travel to Allah. If you want to follow the Sayyid of the Nahj of the Prophet, the way of the Prophet of Allah, you've got to find a way to do that. You've got to find a way to joke with someone that's firstly not a lie, and secondly, it doesn't hurt their feelings. Maybe that's al-khawatir, hurt someone's feelings. We're not supposed to do that, because that puts someone down in the dumps, that makes them anxious, it makes them upset, it makes them whatever, opens the door for shaitan. So it's upon you, and it's a fantastic trait. Whoever has that capacity, that empathy to say the right thing to a person in a particular circumstance at the right time, in my view, is a fantastic human being. Is a tremendous human being. It's not an easy thing to do. Someone's going through some difficult time in their lives. They've lost whatever, they've done whatever, a loved one, someone's sick in the hospital. But to make the person actually, not just to say, yeah, it'll be all right, oh, we've all been through it. But actually to say words or to act in a particular way that lets that person forget the woes they're in just temporarily, if not permanently. And people that can do it are extraordinary human beings. They're truly extraordinary human beings. And that's what we want to try and be. So that's the kind of path that we've got to take. That's the way that we've got to, if we truly want to be the human beings that have emulated and embodied their own humanity, we have to reach that state, because that's basically what that's about. Making sure that another person's feelings isn't hurt is the true embodiment of being a human being. Because, I mean, whatever people say animals have feelings, maybe they do, but that's not where our understanding comes from. And mukallafin is two, jinn and ins. They're the ones who have those emotional states. We say that others act on instinct. Animals, yet they might have some sort of a quality, but we say it's instinct rather than intellect. So if our intellect can enlighten us to the point where we are sensitive to other people's feelings first and foremost, and then secondly, we're able to manipulate our own feelings and our own intellect in order to empathize and sympathize with another human being to the extent that we can help them get out of the difficulties, of the pain they're feeling. That's the ultimate, I believe, when it comes to being a human being. Yeah, money's great, food's a necessity, but this is different to that, because all creatures need food. Trees need food, whatever it might be in its own forms. Okay, but feelings is a different thing. They're saying now that trees have a network, with roots, and they communicate with each other. Great. That's a survival technique. It's a survival technique. Animals, they do it, and same thing. It's a survival technique. But human beings, it's more than a survival technique for us. That's our spiritual existence. And existentially, that's who we really are. We're not just a body. We're not just made up of certain chemicals and hormones and other functions. We're more than that. And once we start to talk to that, once we start to focus on that which is more than just the physical, that's when we reach that realm of the spiritual. And that's when we're truly closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so, like I said, if we can work on that, bi'idhnillah azza wa jal, then we'll reach, inshallah. We'll reach. If our outlook in life is to make other human beings at least just feel better, then our state will change so much so that inshallah we'll be spiritually, inshallah, and intellectually enlightened. Has everyone got a copy of the text to look at? Yeah. You see it? So where we left off was the Imam on page 91, right in the middle there, saying comfort the broken-hearted. So the Jabr, like we said, it's more than just comfort, it's to mend the difficulty, mend the feeling, mend the state, mend the condition, to whatever capacity that you can, whatever it might be. Whoever's got a broken heart, Allah Azza wa Jalla said that Allah is with those whose hearts are broken. In other words, the disenfranchised, if you want to look at it in our vernacular, in our word usage today. Disenfranchised. Those that can't have political strength, those that don't have economic power, those that aren't, maybe we might call them even minorities in some, but not always the case, depending on the circumstance. So they're the people who you'll find Allah there. And then of the 8 doors of Jannah, they're all busy. All the 8 doors of Jannah but one. They're all packed and crowded on the day, inshallah, after the day of judgment, when we go for the akhirah, for the life, for the eternal life. There's only one door which is no one wants to go through. And that's the hearts, people, the door of the hearts, the door of the people whose hearts are broken. For the sake of Allah, they don't desire status. They don't desire position. They don't desire wealth. They don't desire to control. They don't desire to influence. They desire to be with Allah Azza wa Jal. So even though we might think that whatever, the reality is that in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the way that the sunnah of Allah, the way of Allah is different to what we think. He goes on and he says, وَمُلَاطَفَةَ الضُّعَفَاءِ وَالْمَسَاكِينَ. So mulatafa, be gentle to the weak and the needy. It's even more than just being gentle. It is. That's the meaning of the word lutuf, is to be gentle. When mulatafa is, in other words, you could again say empathize, so that they don't feel the difficulties of their scenarios. That's why in the madhab of Imam Shafi'i, it's haram to have anything that's gold or silver plated in your home, unless it's for a medical need, if you're a male. Because then someone who's poor, or in the masajid, in Makkah, Medina, back in the days, one of the khulafa is lined all the pillars and everything with gold. Alright, it's nice, it's a masjid, it's respected. But then the poor people look and they say, we can't eat, we can't clothe ourselves, and yet there's gold in the masjid. It breaks their hearts. That's the ruling of Imam Shafi'i. It breaks their hearts. And so for that reason, it's haram. For that reason, it's haram. Alright? And the masakeen, al-miskeen, needy. Yeah, the meek. Miskeen is someone who's meek. They don't basically have the capacity to take care of their own needs. So the people who are meek. And now today it's the opposite. If we see someone, like I notice myself when I go and catch the train to the city, you try and talk to someone who's normal, they don't want to talk to you. Talk to those people who are a bit nutty. They got stories to tell, and when I was young and I grew up here, I went to this school, then this happened. How come? How come that one's normal and this one isn't normal? Why? And we don't know anyone's station. We don't know what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is using these people for. We don't know the maqam of these people. So the story that Sheikh Saleh told us, is, mashallah, he's probably the smartest guy I've ever met in my whole entire life. He's one of the mashaykh that taught us fiqh, mashallah. And he tells a story that there was a guy in Yemen, and he for 20 years didn't have a child. So he says that, wallahi, if my wife this year doesn't give me a child whose head is bigger than a fist, I'm going to divorce her. And a few months later, she got pregnant, she had a child. Well, he doesn't want to divorce his wife, but he made the qasam. In the Shafi'i, la yukaffir anha. You can't. Other madhahib, you can just pay the kafara and get, but not under Shafi'i. You can't. It's a qasam. So he went around to ask all the scholars. He went to the mufti. What should I do? What's the story? How should I get around the situation? What can I do? What's the hal? And then one of the kind of easygoing scholars, he said to him, look, there's a guy. He's in one particular area of the town. He's mashdub, like he's extraordinary. Go see him, and maybe he'll come up with something for you. So he went to see him, and the guy had the branch of a palm frond, and he was riding. You know how kids, they ride the horse like that. They have a stick with a horse's head on it, and they ride around. You know that one, or from when you were kids? Yeah, well, that's what he was doing. But he's a full grown man, but he's different. He's a special person, So he's riding around on it, and the guy calls him, Sheikh, and he's like, whoa. That's how Sheikh Saleh tells the story. Whoa. And then, what do you want? He's like, I got this bus up there. He goes, what? There's heaps of ulama around. Why are you coming to me for? Because I went here, and I went there, and I went there, and I went here, and no one could give me an answer. He goes, all right, what's the question? He goes, I had this, I had 20 years, etc., and I swore by Allah that if the head of the child wasn't bigger than a fist, then I'm going to divorce her. He looked at him, he said, Your fist or the child's fist? And the guy just looked at him and he went, ha ha. Went away and rode off on his palm frond. So we don't know. We don't know the status of people. We don't know which level. Look, all the scholars, all the people, they couldn't work it out. We don't know the status. We don't know. It's not for us to know. Even really, when we're ourselves traveling to Allah, we don't even really know the status we're on. We don't, because we're striving, and it's that spiritual inertia that's pushing us, and it's the intellectual capacity and calculations that are trying to work things out. And then the body is either ahead or behind, and if it's with, then it's good. Either you're feeling tired, or you're feeling over energetic or overexcited or lazy, or whatever the different emotion that one's feeling is relative to that. So in reality, we don't even know our own spiritual state. And that's really who we are as human beings. We can't, it's very difficult to know. Yeah, we can see a little bit ahead that, I might be there tomorrow or later, and I was there yesterday. Yeah, we can see that, how we were yesterday, because we said, astaghfirullah, man, I should have known that. I worked it out today. And we're looking forward to, that's where I want to be. I'm looking forward to go to that place. But where we are in the present, we're not always in tune with that, even though we should be. Even though that's the reality of being in tune with Allah Azza wa Jal. So if we don't even know our own, most of the time, spiritual state, how can we determine or think that we know another person's spiritual state? Unless you're their spiritual guide, then Allah will show you that to help them. And you might be their guide for one mas'ala. For one thing, you might be their guide. Allah's going to show you what that person may need if Allah's decided. So, for us to put people in categories and whatever, like one time we went with one of the Salihin, inshaAllah Azza wa Jal, I can't remember where we were. It was in the city. And then, they have it was one of the first hot days of the year, very, very hot, and they have the ice cream, the ice cream fridge, refrigerator, freezer, whatever, right at the front of the shop. And you saw this guy, he's obviously, got a substance abuse problem. Obviously, very clear. He's got a substance abuse problem. And he reaches into the fridge, and he takes it, looks around, he's about to take off for the ice cream. All right, we might say, what's an ice cream? But they're worth $6, $7 these days. So then he gets him, he taps him on the shoulder, he goes, oh, do you want that? I want one too. And then he gets it, and he goes to the guy at the counter, and the guy at the counter looks at the guy who's trying to steal the ice cream, and he just looks,
Shifty.
No, he's disheveled, he doesn't look clean, and he's, his eyes are everywhere, and then he looks at the other guy who's a full, just at peace, and he's dressed in the sunnah and all these things, and he's thinking the whole time, like, what's going on with these two? How come this person is with this person? And then he pays for it, and the guy, he goes. That's it. He waits for it to scan, and he gives it to him, and the guy goes. So we shouldn't be thinking that, because I'm on a path to Allah Azza wa Jal, or I'm struggling or striving to attain and embody my true spiritual state where Allah wants me to be, and by emulating the Prophet of Allah saying that I'm special. What did the Prophet say? Allahumma ahshurni ma'al masakin. Ya Allah, gather me with the mani, warzuqni hubb al-masakin. Let the disenfranchised people love me. He didn't say the kings. He didn't say the presidents. He didn't say the CEOs, the directors, the ministers and the members of parliament. They're disenfranchised because they don't have those. They don't have those hopes. They don't have those aspirations of worldly, material aspirations because they've got no choice. They're disenfranchised. Their hopes generally are with something greater, spiritual. So he says, وَمُوَاسَاةِ الْمُقِلِّينَ, and console the poor. Muwasat, again, it goes to sympathize with. Sympathize with those people who are poor. So that means if you've got money, like today, subhanAllah, today I just saw it. One guy saw another guy. Well, one guy, inshallah, looks like he's practicing. Saw another guy, it looked like there's something wrong with the guy. You can look at him, he's coming up and down in front of the shopping centre, up and down. What's going on? And then he saw him saying wrong, and then he took some money to give to the guy. And then the guy that was accepting it, look how he's truly in need. He goes, no, I don't need it. But you can tell by the look of him, You know? There's Afif. Afif, he doesn't, he's above that, so to speak. He's not a person that's asking. And then in the end, he accepted to take the money. So it's not that the poor people we're propelled by them. We're like, ew, no. We should be seeking those people. If you've got $1 to your name, especially you're not paying rent, especially you've got no responsibilities, you're a student, whatever, someone else is responsible for you. Yeah, okay, you want to spend that $50 on whatever, I don't know if you buy games anymore, whatever it is that you do with it. Okay, have a feed or go out and have coffee or whatever. All right, it's good to do that. But 10 of it, Manesh, give the whole thing and sit at home. Once in a while. I know it's like a crazy idea and everything, but once in a while, give the 50 and sit at home, 20, 10, whatever it is. Especially if you don't have responsibilities. All right, you're saving up to buy a car or whatever, maybe a different story, but at the same time, you don't have responsibilities. So don't say, I don't have money. Be looking for those poor people, looking for the way that they're and they're mainly, I think the guy might have been a refugee or whatever. They've only got limited resources. And limited resources, not in terms of financial, they don't know anyone. And no one wants to know them. So they're probably the worst of all the disenfranchised. We mentioned it last week. Here, Villa Woods, here. It's here. It's a 10-minute drive. والتيسير على المعسرين. And someone's not there. That one's not there at all. والتيسير على المعسرين. So to make things easy for those who are in difficulty. Whatever the description of that difficulty is. Someone's carrying 5, 10, 15 shopping bags. That's a situation. Help them out if you possibly can. No problem at all. It's not haram to do that. It's good to do. Help them, whatever. Let them in the line if they look like they're in a hurry, whatever, and you're not in such a hurry. Those types of things. So when people are in asr, is difficulty. Their asr is they're tied up, so to speak. Help to untie their difficulty. As long as it's halal, as long as you're not going into the bottle shop and buying alcohol or whatever for them. As long as it's halal, do it. That's to be something you should be on the lookout for. And it doesn't matter if they're, like we said, these people who have substance abuse problems, all those things, get them food. Even, as we've said before, the opinion of some people is, even give them the money, because if they don't get the money for their habit by begging for it, they're going to get it by doing crime. So you actually could be averting a crime or averting an assault or averting whatever it might be. وإقراض المستقرضين. That one's mentioned. And be lenient with the insolvent. No, تيسير المعسرين. وإقراض, and lend to those who ask you. Or that's what it was. Sorry. وتيسير على المعسرين is be lenient with the insolvent. Like I said, it's probably described better the way we described it. إقراض المستقرضين, to lend somebody who's in need. Right, someone's in need, they're asking for a loan. Like, you've got to be careful. My suggestion, my advice is, if you want to loan somebody, don't expect the money back. If you can't, like if you need that money, then probably better not to loan. Give them some portion of it, just give it to them, and then let them try and get the rest. Because, especially if it's your relatives, especially if it's people you'd like to stay friends with, unfortunately this day and age, it's difficult for someone to pay a loan back for whatever reason that may be. So tell the person it's a loan, right? But don't expect to get your money back. If you can't part with that money in that manner, then don't loan people. Unless you're going to get a security for your loan, they got a whatever Rolex or whatever it is, or whatever it's worth, or a handbag from, is it Gucci? It's worth like 20 grand or something like that. Right? So unless it's something like that, that if they don't pay the money within that prescribed time, you can sell it and get your money back out of it, then I would suggest don't loan. Either do a security for your loan, which is halal, no problem at all, and then make sure there's 2 people to witness. If you do that kind of loaning, at least 2 people to witness, so they understand that if they don't pay by the 25th of April 2017, that on the 26th of April I'm going to sell whatever it is that I'm holding as security, irrespective. So the witnesses to testify to that in case there's an issue, You still might not have your relationship with that person, but at least you're not going to lose those funds that you need for whatever other purpose it is. But still, what did he say? وفي الحديث إن ثواب القرض يزيد على ثواب الصدقة بثمانية أضعاف وذلك أن القرض لا يؤخذه إلا محتاج. So he says in the hadith, this is because the reward for a loan exceeds that for charity 8 times. This is because a loan is taken only by one who is in need of it. So someone who's in need is not going to take a loan. Someone who isn't in need, is not going to take a loan. Someone who's just trying to, do a fight. But these days, unfortunately, like I said, people, they take the loan and you'll never see them again. It doesn't matter how close they are. So you need to be careful of that. But the point being was, people who are genuinely in need, generally they'll if you give them the money, they'll accept it. But if you loan them, they'll also accept that because they've got a pressing need they need to fulfill, and they'll use basically whatever means they can to do that. Yeah, is that clear? So it's better than sadaqah. 8 times better. وعليك بتعزية من نزلت به مصيبة وقال عليه الصلاة والسلام من عز مصابا أي صبره كان له مثل أجري. He says, console those who are stricken by adversity. For the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, may blessings and peace be upon him, has said, the one who consoles a person stricken with or by adversity, that is, helps him or her endure patiently, has a reward similar to his or her reward. Okay? So, generally the taziyah and the meaning of the word azzahu is to sabbarahu. That's the meaning. In other words, to say to the person, be patient, persevere, keep going. Look, this is just a bump in the road, whatever the circumstances might be. Okay, whatever the circumstances may be, and it's specific to funerals, but it's not only restricted to funerals. So generally, it's when someone has a relative who passes away or whatever, visit them, and the taziyah. Why we mentioned the taziyah of us Lebanese is not the right taziyah. We sit all day long. We come, visit the people 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. We stay there all day long. What's that? That's not a taziyah. It actually becomes a burden. I remember my dad, alayhi rahmah, I sat in the chair like 14 hours a day. It was a killer. And the same people every day coming. Same people, and if you don't come, they call you, where is the bloke? Man, I'm aggrieved. I'm upset he died, alayhi rahmah. I need time, that's it. You got to sit there, even if you get up for a call of nature, where is he? You bring him back. Why? Because in the tradition, the people who come, they want to give taziyah, they want to console, pass on their condolences. Unfortunately, I don't even know the people. I'm not even from Lebanon. I'm from Australia. So for me, it didn't have that significance. They want to come and pay their respects, so to speak, and it becomes just a social thing. And how many times we've been to a funeral, people are laughing, they're cracking jokes in the corner, they're laughing, man. Someone's loved one has passed away. Have some respect. But because of the nature of the society which we live in, where we don't see each other very often, and everything's easy going and we're all happy, unfortunately it becomes that. That's not a taziyah. That's not paying your respects or your condolences. Pay your respects or your condolences. You go, you see the person, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, see you later. You don't come again the next day. You don't come every day, sit for 4 hours, 5 hours. And now, in Lebanon, it costs you all sorts of money to die. It costs your family anyway. Because you've got to put on a feed for the people, and coffee, and whatever else. And poor people, they can't afford to do that. Can't afford to die when or what? Because of tradition, and it's actually haram to do that. It's actually عندنا الشافعية and Madhab Imam Shafi'i, it's haram to gather people and say, let's do the taziyah. Alright, today, whatever, things have changed and whatever the case might be. But what happens is, rather than in the old, how it's supposed to be is the neighbours and the relatives of the aggrieved family, they're the ones who are supposed to bring food. They're the ones who are supposed to eat in front of them so they can overcome their grief and eat as well. Not, you go there and expect it and they talk about it, they didn't put on a good feed, they didn't do this. Look at the scenario, even our death has become against the sunnah of the Prophet of Allah and against the deen of Allah. So that's not what it's about. If you don't know the person, you're paying your respects, 5 minutes. You can't shake their hand, I'll have mercy on whoever it is that's passed. If you know the person, and you know that you're being there, you're friends with them, and you know that you're being there is going to make a difference, all right, talk to them. Don't worry, brother, sister, whatever. Remember this is what happened, whatever. I remember your dad was a good person, mum, whatever. Let them relax a bit. Oh, he died like that? That's a good way to die. It's husnul khatima. Alhamdulillah, it's the best of conclusions. Oh, he died with his family around him, or her. Okay, that's good. Oh, she died when she was in sajda. Oh, mumtaz. Died on a Friday. Yes, come and say that. And then go. If they ask you to stay, all right, it's a different story. If they ask you because, what are you doing? Sabbarahu. Making them at ease and making them feel patient, making them persevere. If your being there helps them, they've asked, yeah, stay. Stay all night if you have to. Okay? But if it's not, hey, assalamu alaikum, azam Allah ajrakum, wa alaikum assalam. No, we don't do that. They've got to put up tents, they've got to hire out halls. Yahi, alright, I'm with you, it's alright. It's alright. And the thing is, like I said, when you didn't visit that family when the guy was alive, all of a sudden you want to visit when he's dead? Like, what's going on? Seriously though. I know like what I'm saying is harsh, and it's I don't want to be harsh. I just want to talk about the reality. I haven't seen the bloke in how, like I said, when my dad died, we went and came to Lebanon how many times, not one of these people ever showed up to say, how are you? I'm your relative. When I'm so, do you know who that was? No, that's your cousin. Oh, well, how am I know it's my cousin? He knows that I'm the son of so. I don't know that person. So, what kind of system are we running? What are we trying to achieve by the visit? Is it so I can go there and show my face that look, I'm related to that, but I know that person, so I can sit close to because what they do there as well, that all the, so to speak, noble people, the people of high status, they sit in one area. I want to go sit in that area. Is that the case? I want to go eat the food. I want to see what they're doing. Oh, that's what it's become. That's what it's become. I know like you're all freaking out saying, what's the Sheikh talking about? But that's the reality. And here as well. Here as well. Why? What for? Why? You want to benefit the person that's passed away, get that money, build a well with it, do some sadaqah jariyah, educate some poor people. Educate some people who don't have the opportunity for education. Do something useful. Feed someone who's got already probably diabetes and cholesterol issues because they eat too much. You want to feed someone like that. Alright, it says, وَإِيَّاكَ, no, we read the English yet. It says, وَإِيَّاكَ وَالشَّمَاتَ بأحد من المسلمين وهي أن تفرح بما ينزل به من المصائب. وقال عليه الصلاة والسلام لا تظهر الشماتة بأخيك فيعافيه الله ويبتليك واحذر أن that's the next part. He says, beware of gloating, which is to rejoice. So the meaning of gloating is to rejoice at another Muslim's misfortune. For the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, may blessings and peace be upon him, he said, do not show any gloating in regard to your brother or sister, lest God release him and afflict you. I told you so. That's what gloating is. Someone asks you for something, or they talk to you about something, and or you don't like someone, and you want them to do something else, and they don't do it, and they do what they want to do, and some misfortune befalls them, or you don't think they're the person who they say they are. This person thinks they're someone saying, I know they're not because I saw them doing this and that and that. And then what happens? Shamata. Gloat. See, I knew that was going to happen to that so-and-so. I knew so-and-so, etc. See, that person's not that status because they did this. So firstly it's haram. Another one of those things, when it's haram. And again, it protects us from those, from delving into those, the fine realms of spiritual existence. We don't want to go there. We don't want to go to the negative aspects of it, because as we said, feelings and emotions, and those things tied with one's state are about one's soul, and we don't want to go into the negative aspects where we're affecting one's soul, someone else's soul negatively by our and people who gloat, it's just envy really in the end. Shamata means they're envious of that person to some extent. They think there's a competition going on. Once there's a competition, that means there's envy. Once two people are competing, unless they're competing over good deeds, which is what the Sahaba did, that's a different thing. Especially when it's a secret competing. The Sahaba, when they used to compete straight out. Well, how many of this did you do? How many of that? How many rak'at? How many dhikr? How much money did you give away? How many sick people did you visit? They used to talk about it. But when it's competing in secret, that's jealous, of course. You tell the person, oh, imagine you did that. Oh, what do you do? I'm an engineer. Oh, I'm an engineer too. What kind of engineer? Electrical. Oh, me too. How much did you make? Oh, yeah, you make 120. Well, I'm going to make more than you next year. What's going to happen?
Enmity.
Exactly. Adawa. That's what's going to happen. So it's a jealousy. Right? It's envy in terms of, oh, I'm better than you as well. Which is arrogance on top of that. So that's why it's only done in spiritual things. If you said, oh, how many salawat did you do on Friday? How many durood sharif or salawat did you do on the Prophet? I say, oh, this is 100. You had 100, oh, I'm going to do 200 next week. No one would be upset by that or offended by that. That wouldn't be saying, it might be saying, well, I didn't really want to talk about it, okay? I feel bad because I spoke about it, but no one would take it personally. That's the difference between the two things. So for us, for the shamata, for gloating, all it does is bring our spiritual state down. All it does is bring us back to the terrestrial world, back to material things, rather than keeping us up. To that higher range. He says, also, واحذر أن تعير مسلما بذنب وقع فيه فإن من عير مسلما بذنب لم يمت حتى يبتليه بمثل ما عيره به. Okay, this is another one. He says, beware of openly reviling a Muslim for a sin he has fallen into or she has fallen into. For the one who does so will be afflicted likewise before he or she dies. So this is something different. A ta'yir is to openly talk about it. Oh, so-and-so, they think they're so pious, you know. He thinks he's so pious. The other day I saw him, he was swimming, he was wearing shorts above his knees or his navel was showing or whatever the case might be. Oh, you know, she thinks this and she thinks that. Whatever the story is. Oh, I saw her, she's actually so pious. I saw her talking to some guy in the middle of the street. Whatever the case is. Or vice versa, I saw him talking to some girl who's not hijab, doesn't even look like she's Muslim, in the middle of the street. And then go around telling people. We don't know, maybe he was helping her in business and she saw him or whatever the case might be. You know what the situation is, unless you ask. So to do that, what's going to happen? That whatever the person was reviling that the Muslim for is going to happen to that individual before they die. It's a payback. It's a payback from Allah Azza wa Jalla to say, oh, that person smokes cigarettes, for example. If you keep on putting around that person, then it's going to happen to you. So that's something that we stay away from, because we want our spiritual state to be elevated and illuminated and enlightened. We don't want to blacken it, and we don't want to make it heavy because of the burden of dealing with other people's situations, particularly spiritual situations.
Sorry, Sheikh, can you explain reviling?
So it's basically it's a put down.
Okay.
All right, ayir, it's basically what it is. So a person is, putting them down for, like I said, talking to a lady who's not Muslim, even not wearing hijab, whatever, in the street, and he's saying he's a pious dude, whatever. You don't know what. Maybe he's given a dawah. Maybe she stopped him, asked him about Islam. Maybe she's his neighbor and whatever. Who knows what the story is? You don't know what the story is. Could be anything. Could be anything. Could be family. Could be anyone. You don't know what it is. Could be anything. Could be his ex-wife, mother of his children. You don't know. You don't know what it is. All right?
It's rejoicing at another's affliction.
That's different.
The gloating one.
So the rejoicing is shamata. Bas yishma. Oh yeah, he did this, and like I told him, like we said, I told you so. Basically, if you want to know what shamata is, that's what it is. That's I told you so. See, he deserved to get that. He should have done this. That's one thing. But the ta'yir is different. The ta'yir is just to say, oh, you know, it's like a put down. Oh, that person, you know, they think they're pious, they think they're good, they did this. Oh, I heard that person backbite. See, last time 2 people were backbiting, that person came along and said backbiting is haram, and the next day I saw him backbiting. Right? So it's not rejoicing in the sin, right? Because rejoicing is you're happy that they're worse than you.
Yeah.
But this one is not that. This is just exposing, I suppose. The ta'yir is making it, as he says here. I mean, reviling is a hard word, but ta'yir is putting them on show. But, you know, like a put down, making them worse than they are because of. Well, everyone makes sins. Who doesn't make sins? Is there anyone on the face of the earth that doesn't make sins? We all make them. So why are you advertising another Muslim's sins? And it's also riba. It's not that it's not. It's a form of, we spoke about when we spoke about afat al-lisan, the difficulties of the vices of the tongue. We spoke about all the different, and that's one of them. Wasn't it one of them? Do you recall whoever was present physically and mentally and spiritually that day? Or those days?
It's mentioning something that they don't want to hear or they don't want to be said at that thing.
Well, it's aslan, it's riba.
That's riba, yeah.
Aslan, but it's a type
It's the
of
one
riba,
the types, yeah.
right? So aslan, when you talk about someone, a Muslim in particular, and mention any quality that they would not like that quality to be mentioned, would be, oh, she's so short. That's it, riba. He's only this tall. He's a fat guy, whatever. They wouldn't like that. Straight away, that's riba. But that's different because this is specifically about their deeds, pretty much. Okay.
Is that kind of like saying, say the person did it, oh, what an make fun of him, oh, what an idiot. He went and did this sin, and then later on, that person will end up falling into that same sin.
100%. Yeah, that's another way. It's a put down.
Yeah.
You know. So once you put that person down for some action sin they did, then when if a person does that thing's going to come into that person's life who did it. All right. Are you clear on it? Is it? Yeah. All right.
Yeah, sure.
Any other questions about the dust? Any other questions about anything else? Yes, Fadla.
I was going to ask, Chef, when we, if we have intention to go on a spiritual path and, journey to Allah, but we have a fear that if we do that, then, things that we're attached to will be taken from us or won't be granted. Could you maybe give us some nasiha about how we, prioritize Allah when things keep pulling us back to the world?
Like, generally speaking, that's going to be the case. The Prophet ﷺ, a man came to him and he said, Ya Rasulullah, I love you. He said, are you sure about what you say? He said, yeah, I'm sure. He said, then be prepared for poverty. Right? So, the things, unfortunately, in terms of our attachment, and that's kind of what you're talking about, our attachments can be one or the other. It can't be both. You can be wealthy and still be a person of akhirah, still be a person of the life hereafter, still be a person of deen. The problem is that one cannot be attached to one's wealth and be attached to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when I say attached, I mean mentally, physically, spiritually, as a being. Once that attachment's there, Allah says, oh, you're attached to that thing, or you have that thing. Don't worry about me. As Allah is tayyib subhanahu wa ta'ala, la yaqbal illa tayyib. He only accepts that which is pure. In other words, sincere for Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, in reality, if you want Allah, you can't have anything else. In reality, if you want to get down to the bare bones of it. So it's a statement that it's not a standalone statement. You with me? It's not saying that you just say that's it. No, there are things that Allah wants you to do, no doubt, and things that Allah wants you to be involved in. The thing is that if you truly want to reach the embodiment of what it means to be a human being, then it has to be only Allah. It's the target. So I suppose the wisdom about that is how one travels the path. That's what it's about. We're all trying to get there. I mean, would you not love to be the individual that is not in need of material things, not attached? We're all in need of eating and drinking, but the attachment isn't there anymore. that one seeks their sustenance in all forms directly from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah or no? Would you like to be that or not? Or you want to always go to Coles and Woolworths and line up and... Okay? Yeah or no? That, of course. We all would want that. Of course we want that. So that's where we're heading. We're trying to go down that road. So if we're trying to go down that road, why are we going to bring along, my shopping cart, my billy cart, and, whatever, my car, and, my wardrobe, and my electronic gadgets and gizmos? What for? Doesn't make any sense. Yeah? So the question is that, do I leave all those things and then go to Allah? No, because that's not going to get me there. I go to Allah, and gradually those things, one by one, step by step, piece by piece, they'll have less significance for me. Because as the Imam's been trying to show us and guide us, that the love that will come, the flavour, the feeling in the end, the emotional state will come where it's what Facebook, what Netflix, what movies, what that. It's, yeah, all right, I'll do it, but it doesn't have that same. Exactly, the sweetness is gone because there's something sweeter. Not because there's something wrong with that thing. It's because there's something sweeter, and that's connection to Allah. Ma'rifah, inshallah, as we're saying, but nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and all the different things. So it's always scary to go on a journey. A new journey. Every time you go, even wherever you want to go, Hawaii, pipeline, great. You want to go there and catch a wave or whatever it is, it's scary. The plane, what if your visa, what if they stop you at customs, what if you miss your flight, what if whatever, what if the plane crashes or whatever, what if the wave's too big and you drown, you get eaten by something or stung. There's always fears on any journey, even it might be your dream journey. Even it might be to Makkah. Maybe a little bit different there, because you'd be happy to die, I imagine. But still, the trials and tribulations that may occur on the way, no one would want that. And that always perturbs an individual. So anytime we venture into a new activity, or we venture into a new direction in life, we're always going to feel that. We're always going to feel that fear. The thing is, for the believer, we grab the hand of the Prophet of Allah, ﷺ, and that path is trodden for us. It has been walked for us. And the hikmah, يَعْلِمْكُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةِ, to teach you the halal and haram, the hikmah is the way. So we stand firm to that, and the righteous people that we know. And we ask them the nasayah, the Sahaba, they wouldn't do anything without speaking to the Prophet ﷺ or to the more senior Sahaba. They wouldn't do anything. Even the hadith says if you break a shoelace, you should do istikhara. So there's two things, istikhara wa istishara. Istikhara is asking Allah Azza wa Jal, and istishara is asking those people who have the requisite knowledge and skill and experience about whatever it is that you want to embark on. So do that, and inshallah, man lam yukhib man istikhara wa lam yandam man istishara. I think that's how it goes. Whoever makes istikhara won't be a failure, they'll be successful, and whoever consults won't regret. The right people. You can't consult someone who hasn't got the experience and the requisite knowledge. It's not going to work. You have to, if you want to buy a car, no point asking me. I never know where the water thing is in there. I don't know what it's called. So there you go. If I just prove the point, I have no idea. I don't know if the car's good or not good. I can research it and tell you how much kilometres it gets per 100, per 10 litres, and how much the resale value is. But I can't tell you if the car itself is good. So you go and ask someone who's a mechanic or a panel beater or a valuer of cars or whatever. Okay, so specific to whatever journey you're about to embark on. If you're embarking on a spiritual journey, you need to seek a spiritual guide to assist you on the journey, so you don't regret, hopefully, or you don't fall over, or you don't stumble more than you need to. Everyone stumbles on the path, but at least you stay on the path and don't wane and fall off the path. Or any other questions?
I just got one, Sheikh.
Talk.
You know when he said the loan exceeds the charity 8 times? So it's a lot better to give a loan than it is charity for one who is in need. So let's say you do give charity, a loan, right? And then you stress out about it. So does that nullify the actual So the hasanat you get for that?
That's a good question. So that if we follow the sunnah of the Prophet of ﷺ, surely we won't need to. So the sunnah is the longest verse in the whole Quran is about what? Right, writing contracts. So when do we have issues? When we don't follow the sunnah. I'm a solicitor, and whoever's involved in law would know that the contracts, they're like this. If you get a mortgage contract, the thing's like 70, 80 pages. It's, I don't even want to read it. Like, who would even enter into something so arduous and difficult? But that's how it is. So everything's there in case there's a misconception or a misunderstanding between the parties. Afwan. So first thing is always write it down. First thing. Secondly is to have two witnesses. Two males, a male and two females, a male and a female, whatever the case might be. But two witnesses that understand what's going on. At least two witnesses. And then have everyone sign. So hopefully that'll keep the stress away. Again, if you have the feeling that the person's not going to pay, take a security. A phone's a good thing, but I don't think anyone's going to give up their phone. So it's got to be gold or watches or something of value that if the person doesn't pay their repayments as they're supposed to, then at least you can go sell that thing off and recoup your money. If not your whole money, then whatever portion it is. So say for example, someone gave you an ounce of gold, whatever it's worth, $300, $400, probably more than that now, isn't it? $600 or something. 700, inshallah. $700 for an ounce of gold, Australian or American?
He's American.
American. So it's $1,000 for an ounce then, Australian if that's the case. Whatever it is, okay, they owe you $1,000. They say, look, here's an ounce of gold, and in 6 months I'll pay you back the money. 6 months comes, the ounce is worth $2,000. Do you keep the $2,000? Lawyers are going, you keep the whole thing, man. They keep your $1,000, you sell it, you keep your $1,000, and you give back the other $1,000. Whatever profit, it's haram, it's the riba. Okay, so if it comes under, if it's $900, you're still entitled to ask for the other $100. So they're the sunnah things that we do to make sure that we don't stress out about those things. But look, it will decrease in the thawab. Of course it will.
So like, let's say you do give the loan, and then you turn around and you start going, oh man, I don't know, like, I gave a lot of money and is he going to be able to pay it back? And because that always goes in the back of your mind, there's like a little whisper in the back of your mind, like, man, if he doesn't pay, is this going to stuff me up,
Then
and the thing is, you don't want to lose the hasanat from that, like the rewards that you're
Exactly.
expecting for it. You want to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and at the same time, like, you can't help stressing out of, like, we're human beings, like, of course we're going to stress about, those kind of things.
That's what I said, security, and write it down and get the witnesses. If it's going to, look, that's one of the tests that we have. And if we're able to overcome those thoughts in the back of our minds, that's going to improve us as well. It's going to get us closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and improve both our intellectual and our spiritual state. So if we're ready for that, then we should do it. If it's going to be too much and it's going to be on our mind, distract us from the prayers and distract us from being close to Allah and distract us from our social lives and our responsibilities to our family, then don't do it if that's going to be the case. Either give it, as we said, just straight sadaqah, or give it as a gift. A gift is also worth 18. So if you want to give it to someone, don't give it as sadaqah, give it as a gift. Otherwise, then, if it's too much, just leave it.
So that's why you're saying, like, when you give it, don't expect it back. So give according to that.
Exactly.
So if he's asking for, let's say, 100k, right?
Yep.
And you're like, hold on, if I give 100k, I'm going to be stressing out about it. But I'm going to be alright with $10. So just give $10.
Give $10.
Okay, yeah.
Perfect. No.
Yeah.
That was it? Alright. Any other questions? Good questions, mashallah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin wa salatu wa salam ala khayrina wa alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. يا رحمن الرحمن الحمد برحمتك الواسعة وتبت أقدامنا على الصراط المستقيم يا رحمن الرحمن نسألك يا رحمن الرحمن أن تنور قلوبنا بلا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم وزيدنا يا أرحم الراحمين وافتح علينا فتوى العارفين يا أكرم الأكرمين وأكرم مشايخنا وزيدنا وبارك فيهم يا أرحم الراحمين وارفعهم درجات في الحياة وبعد الممات. Ya Allah, we ask to forgive us and forgive our sins and elevate our status in this life and the next. Ya Allah, we ask to give us the comprehension of our own souls, Ya Allah, and the comprehension, or some comprehension of your greatness, Ya Akram al-Akrameen. Ya Allah, even though we're deficient, Ya Allah, even though that we're weak, Ya Arhamar Rahimeen, even though that we don't truly understand, we ask you, Ya Arhamar Rahimeen, for your love, but to the Prophet of Allah, to increase us in that which you gave him, Ya Arhamar Rahimeen, in terms of ma'rifah, in terms of knowledge, in terms of unwan, in terms of understanding. Give us some of that, Ya Arhamar Rahimeen, so we may know what it truly feels like, Ya Allah, to be close to you. Ya Allah, we ask you to forgive our parents and their misgivings and misguidings, and that of the Muslims, Ya Arhamar Rahimin. Forgive them, Ya Allah. Forgive them, Ya Arhamar Rahimin. Ya Arhamar Rahimin, Raddum ila dinika raddan jamila. Return them to your deen, Ya Allah, in the best possible manner, Ya Allah. We ask you to bring the hearts of the Muslims together and the minds of the Muslims together and the words and the actions of the Muslims together, Ya Arhamar Rahimin. Ya Allah, we ask you to lift the difficulties and the trials and the tribulations, Ya Allah, of the believers and make us a cause to bring justice and peace on this earth. بخير ولطف وعافية ولا حضرة النبي بسر الفاتحة.